Okay, hello, and welcome back to the IVF Daddies podcast. My name is Julio.
And my name is Richard. We are back. Feels like forever since we've done one of these, but we've been traveling. We've been away. We were in Asia for 3 weeks, which was amazing. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're now in Spain, which is amazing and fantastic because my apartment building caught fire in London. Thankfully, everything is okay. But can you imagine, had we have been there? We weren't, thankfully. We're here in Spain for you. No electricity, though. So it's a good thing. We're here. Anyway, we're back. Yay.
Yeah, I know how everything can change in a minute.
Right.
Well, I mean,
We know that.
we were in Bangkok and there was an earthquake the next day, and then your apartment building gets caught on fire.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how life can change in an instant. Very like when you're trying to get pregnant and you do.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you got kids. But yeah, no, we were in Bangkok.
Wait, so reframe that again, because IVF and surrogacy is for not everybody is that lucky.
No, they're not, but I was.
Can you just reframe that again?
What do you mean?
How can you say that you were not expecting and boom, you're pregnant?
Who knew? No, but you are going into the surrogacy process. You know it's going to take a long time. There's lots of hurdles. You've got to go through all these different things and paperwork and meeting people and meeting egg donors and meeting surrogates. And then, you just think it's going to take forever. And I remember going, we've got embryos. Okay, well, now we're pregnant. And we were very lucky. Like we got pregnant first go and it was boy-girl twins and it's the dream. I know that for many people that doesn't happen. I get that. But your life changes in an instant. In that 1 second when you have that positive pregnancy test, it's irrevocable. It's done. You're pregnant. And
Do you think that is like that's your experience, right? Like, do you think, because I've heard about people like they're my friends, like celebrities and stuff, which is that my only source of news is pop culture. But there's like celebrities that are like they don't feel anything until they have their baby in their hand. And
I don't know. I mean, I think the wonderful thing about obviously surrogacy is that you are part of the journey, but you're living your life. It's happened for us. It happened thousands of miles away. It was this weird concept of somebody's pregnant. You're not feeling the pregnancy. You're not seeing the pregnancy grow day by day and month by month and feeling all those changes. And it's somebody else is doing it for you. And you're definitely trying to be a part of that. But as a man, I was never going to feel that anyway. I would be looking at somebody growing and having a pregnancy, right? Until that baby comes. And I think somebody once said to me, for men, it takes a lot longer to have that moment with your child where you're like, oh my God, this is a love I've never felt before, because you don't really feel it till the baby arrives. Whereas the person who's carrying the baby goes through those changes and has that 9-month build up to having the baby, right? And I remember like the first few weeks going, oh my God, what's going on? No idea. Literally not understanding what was going on. And then that love grows and grows. Oh, it continues to grow and get stronger as they get older.
how many times a day did you say, what the hell did I get myself into?
Today,
Ever since day one.
I think it changes as they get older. Like the struggles that I have today are different to the ones I had when they were born.
No, I mean, but like when you have the babies, you're like, what the heck? Like, how, like,
But anybody does.
I mean, I don't know.
Anybody who's had a child is like, what have I done?
So we went to Bangkok. Then after Bangkok, I have to come back and I had to skip Taipei because I have to go to TEDx. And one of the things that I did was sponsor the hospitality TEDx with the patisserie Margot. And there was a chance for me to insert a possible presentation for future year. And my argument, which will probably made a podcast out of it after, was the unloved scene of step parenting in the LGBTQ IA+ community. And there's like the struggles that you are building, and then you see people like they have like status parent, like you want to be like a status mom, like there's a study that I read of if you give a mom the option of a van and a Ferrari, they will take the van because they will look like the best mom.
It's on the mom.
No, but like the majority of moms that wanted to look like the best moms, they will get always the mom car.
Well, I think being a step parent is very hard anyway. Like we've had this conversation many times where it's a fine line between trying to be a friend and trying to be a parent, because you don't have the authority. There's always well, you're not my parent. You don't get to tell me what to do.
Well, I feel like I never get that with the kids. If anything, is almost like,
It's because you never tell them off. I'm the one that tells them.
I tell
You
them.
take their side. What are you talking about?
I think I triangulate you. I tell you what they're doing, and then you feel like I'm telling you that you're a bad parent.
And then I tell them off, and you let the good one because you're like, oh, just ignore him.
Yeah, and then it's the back of my mind. It's always feel like every time Julio is here, like we got structure and almost like
they get structure all the time. Very rule driven, very boundary driven. That's kind of what I fundamentally believe that one of the things that I have done well as a parent is
everything.
Thank you, babe. There are days when I don't feel like I'm parenting well.
Okay, there are days that I don't feel like I just don't do anything well.
Yeah, right. I hear you. But what I have done and what I really like to do is for the children to have a framework that they know that they can operate within this framework and they're okay. But the minute they step outside of that, then we have a problem. And I think things for me that are non-negotiables are manners and being kind. Like everything else, is there's a negotiation, but I'm like, they're always fighting they're nitpicking about something. I'm just be kind to each other.
Well, there's a sibling. Like, I mean, it's just almost like when you see a reunion of the housewives and they say, like, when you spend so much time together with somebody, the emotions are a lot more intense. It's like it happens with friends. Like, you don't fight like you fight in your relationship because you're not like when you get like sick of a friend, like, you have distance for a little bit and then you just call them up again and hang out.
We don't. Again, somebody quite likes the rupture and repair structure in the relationship.
It's called emotional development.
Yeah, somebody doesn't. Anyway, different story.
It's called being British. Never complain, never explain. And I am like, let's get to the bottom of it. And if there's nothing to get to the bottom of it, we create shit to get to the bottom of it.
You're not allowed to say that.
No, we'll edit the name, but...
No, we can't say that.
No, because that isn't how to... Nobody needs to know who our therapist is.
But we do couples therapy, because actually I think that another thing that is very important is when you look at a coin, it's the same coin, but he has one side and I have the other side. So that coin, I see it differently to the way you see it. And having somebody impartial to be able to say, Julio, you're wrong, is amazing.
Well, sometimes we feel like we want to be heard. And then instead of explaining our feelings, we say, you're wrong. This is the evidence. Or sometimes I tell you how I feel and then you take it as an attack. And then I'm like, I am not saying who's responsible for anything. I just want to share what happened to me. But then sometimes you want to see one side of the coin and sometimes I want to see a credit card. It's like not even the other side of the coin. We have to just break the definition of old school family, because family is not made out of DNA. Family is made out of who chooses to show up. And being a step parent is like walking on a tightrope, and choosing each other every day is part of the job. And a family is made out of those people that when you fall, they choose to climb the mountain with you in the middle of the storm.
Yeah, I mean, we choose our family, right? And I think as gay men, we've done that for many, many years. You choose the people you're going to hang out with. And I think then, and one of the things that we found being here in Spain is you've chosen, you've made some amazing friends. And one of your friends who's fantastic has two children, similar ages to the kids, and she has become part of our family. Like, she's an intrinsic part of what we do. And that's, we choose that. Like, we make choices every day. But I think as a step parent, it's really difficult because you don't have...
I love how you're talking.
I'm trying to bring it back to the topic.
I love how you're talking about being like the difficulty of a step parent when you haven't ever been one.
I haven't, but I see your struggles. I see sometimes, and even you say it to me.
When I start the conversation, you storm out?
I never storm out. I need to go get air. Generally, I've forgotten what we were arguing about, but you managed to bring it back.
No, because, like our therapist told us, like sometimes when you get triggered, you just put a pin on it. You say, I'm getting triggered. Let's go back when we're feeling normal.
Yeah, let's just...
How far you master. And feel normal. You forgot about the emotion. And then you don't want, I'm like, why are you fighting again? I'm not fighting.
It's so funny. Every Thursday morning, she's like, so how are you guys? I'm like, I'm great. And he's like, well, actually on Monday, he did this. And I'm like, oh, I've forgotten about that. Do we have to argue now? It's healthy though. It's healthy. If you're not in therapy, I recommend it.
I mean, I believe the best thing you can do to a kid is give him a therapist and a financial advisor from the get-go. Even if they just go there to not talk and sit, they will make it a habit, and they will just send them the tools for life, which is kind of what I think is the problem with surrogacy and IVF, because I believe the system wouldn't want people there coming from families with a lot of access to knowledge and power, and that could be a threat for systems, which is why one case in Asia, which is the reason why we went to Bangkok, one case in Asia threw off the law of IVF and surrogacy, and you can explain it better because I have no idea. But that have happened many times in the normal procreational natural ways where people abandon their kids or give them for adoption, and nobody has said you're not allowed to get pregnant anymore.
Well, I mean, the reason we were in Bangkok was because there is a steering committee towards legalizing surrogacy in sausages.
No,
there is a steering committee that has been put together to work with the government on ethical and moral and legal ways to make commercial surrogacy a viable option. And in 2013, there was a case where it was the baby gammy case, if you want to go research it, but that led to a series of events whereby the surrogacy industry in Thailand was shut. And so what they're doing, and I think which is great, is they're talking to experts around the world, and very amazingly, and I've honoured and humbled, I was asked to be on the steering committee to give the emotional side of the process. And as a parent and somebody who's worked in this field for many years, what can we do? I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just somebody who's been through it. And they've asked me to be part of that, which is great. And so we were in Bangkok for that. And then we left on the Wednesday, and there was an earthquake on the Friday. And we were both like, okay.
Luckily, everybody in the clinic is fine. And we did an amazing tour. And it's also linked to the previous episode. It's really funny how they showed us they have the HIV washing of the sperm and the semen. And that is actually very, very positive, especially for like same-sex couples or anybody that is infected, how the surrogate will not get infected or it won't pass down to the baby, and everybody could have a family. Especially, I think if you are going through IVF and surrogacy, it's not like you just met at a club, got a lot of drinks, and then you had a one-night stand and got pregnant.
Right.
It's like you really have to do a lot of work. And I was actually watching the last episode of the Housewives of the Beverly Hills Housewives, Bows, who's amazing. And I would love to interview her because she's the best. She's the boss. And she had 2 pregnancies that were really high risk. Like she lost her first baby, and the second baby both of them almost lose their lives. And then she's going for IVF with a doctor from Las Vegas that I've never heard of that came to her house. And the wanting to, after carrying your baby and almost dying, still wanting to go through that process, you really, really have to love. I mean, and I guess we'll say it over and over and over, but like I don't know how I got into this.
It's very prescribed. You really have to want to do it. And this comes back to what you were just saying about those people who are, not necessarily educated about the process. This podcast, many other people, there are lots and lots of resources out there to educate people on it. But
I just wanted to lower the level of the words that people use, because most of if I see one more doctor with 700 degrees in the back and a robe like they just get out of surgery full of blood, it's just like...
Well, it's never full of blood.
But if you're wearing your surgery...
But they're proving their...
You know that I can AI diplomas too.
I'm sure you can. But, it inspires confidence in people. If you go to the doctor and they've got all these awards, and that is a confidence builder.
But that's a different...
I just have
That's the generational differences. Like in my situation, I feel like that's dehumanizing. Like I just want to see it more human. I want to see something more cozy, more warm, more, which is why we have like some doctors that they do a very touch and feely, very warm, and then some others are very technical. And when I hear the technical part, I don't even know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I'm like,
but that's why we have lots of people messaging us, because we're warm and fuzzy. You're warm, like we're talking to people in a way that they understand. We're not trying to make it mechanics and long words and complicated. It's just almost Julio Richard talking about how to make a baby.
well, I mean, because the two ways that you can find out about it, if you do go on the internet, there's like YouTube where you see people fighting against it, or doctors like talking, looking like with their gowns and their caps, and like that it's kind of like creepy. Or you see celebrities and it looks like throw the money up the issue and you will have the ideal baby, no problems or anything, and then people think they're just getting babies a la carte. Like,
well, but that's one of the problems with surrogacy in and of itself. Everybody thinks it's for the rich, for the privileged, for the celebrities, and the reality is, yeah, they're doing it. Of course they are, but the majority of people doing this save, they beg, steal, borrow. They are working 2 jobs to get the money together to be able to fulfill a dream. And I think having a dream and fulfilling it, there's nothing better. And I see this every day when people are coming to us with photographs of babies or pregnancy, or they're just like, look at this, thank you. There's nothing better. There really isn't. That fulfillment that I get when I get a text message from somebody who shows, I've got people that send me pictures of their 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. I'm just like, and they just go, thank you.
yeah, or like when we get messages about people saying, oh my God, because of you, I decided to go and get a checkup and get my egg count, or I have gone through the same thing. Thank you for talking about this topic. Because there's a lot of things that, like, okay, so when normal people have natural ways of getting pregnant, you just worried about the pregnancy and the baby. When you want to have babies and you can't, when you're gay or you LGBTQIA+, you have to break down walls like your entire life that you're used to the rejection. And for you, it's like, this is another fight that I have to do, or like, it's never going to happen to me. And if it's going to happen to me, I know I'm going to fight really hard for it. But when you're not part of the LGBTQIA+ community, it's never like, well, we're starting to get to the point of that. And I've gotten a lot of messages when people say, you know what? I want to start a relationship with you. If we're going to have babies, let's both get checked. And maybe you freeze your sperm and I freeze my eggs. Actually, yesterday at dinner, I had a friend that she told me her journey about getting her eggs frozen. And she got pregnant and she never used the eggs, but she still has it.
It's an option. It's optionality for the future. There's no guarantee, but it's there in case you want it. And you've frozen your eggs at that moment in time. That's how old you were. That's how old your eggs are. So if you freeze them at 29 and you're 43 and you want to use them, they're still 29. No. And that's the wonderful thing. And I think to your point of they got pregnant, great, brilliant. That's fantastic.
And also when you go get your eggs frozen, I mean, yeah, if you can get it. No, but because infertility awareness is coming up soon. When you get, let's say that a woman goes to the clinic, say, I want to freeze my eggs. Do they get the eggs and freeze them? Or can they tell if their fertility is 10 out of 10?
Yeah, you'll go testing. It's the same as if a man goes to a sperm test, they test the sperm and say your sperm is fine.
Yeah, but you know that people like wakes up saying, why don't we just do an annual sperm check?
We should.
Yeah, but nobody does it. So
that's so National Infertility Awareness Week is coming up in a couple of weeks. And it's all about reducing the stigma around infertility. It's all about raising the awareness of infertility.
I'm glad that you came up with that. I just
off the top of my head.
Not that I just said it.
Thank you for the pointer, Don Julio. But it's one of those things that if we can get one person to just go and check their egg count or their sperm or go and get tested, then that is one person that I'm happy that I've helped. Because the reality is, I mean, we should go and get checked every year for everything else.
Right? But let me challenge you on this one, because what is the law on infertility? I mean, on surrogacy, with the excuse cover wrapping paper about infertility? What
do you mean?
That blocks gay parents to have gay, trans, whatever, to have babies, like the Asia or the Greece law.
So there are certain countries that allow it and certain countries that allow it for everybody. The United States, doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter if it's social surrogacy, i.e. there's no real medical need, or there's a medical need. But for example, last week, Greece came out and said, we're going to change our surrogacy laws and we're going to make it so that if you're a gay man or you're a single man, you cannot go through surrogacy in Greece. Now, the problem with Greece is there are very few Greek surrogates out there anyway. And there was a scandal last year where basically they were trafficking people in from Georgia, Ukraine, all the countries around to Greece to do it, get pregnant. So there's been scandals.
What is it? What is a statement of, I think it's Thailand, Thailand? What is a statement that says that is only for infertile people that...
Greece.
So
basically, they've clarified that it's for a medical infertility requirement. That means that if you're a man and a woman trying to have a baby and you can't for X reason because of medical, then you can go through surrogacy. Because if you're two men, there's no medical need for you. Exactly. It's just pure and utter discrimination against gay men and single men. End of story. But welcome to the world. We're discriminated against left, right, and center. So they've clarified it and said it's no longer based on your gender, it's based on a medical need.
Well, but that is very silly, because infertility is if you try for 6 months and you don't succeed, you're infertile. So we can try for 6 months and not succeed. And are we infertile?
But it's not a medical need, it's a social need, because neither of us have a uterus.
Like if a baby is the new handbag.
Well, again, Handmaid's Tale. Have you ever seen that? No. That TV show, with the red... I've not...
No, because that is ugly. One girl gets the eye plugged out. I mean, it's interesting, but I don't know. You will like it probably. I prefer The Housewives.
Okie dokie then. Anyway, we're back. Thank you for bearing with us whilst we were on...
Rambling.
No, on holiday. But we will, resume. And
thank you for watching.
Bye.